Hello and welcome. Here are ways to become a supporter of the channel. Thank you and enjoy.
3, 2.
How rare is your body? 83.7% of people can roll their tongue, so you're actually more rare if you can't roll your tongue. Only 35% of people have 20/20 vision. That's why you see so many people with glasses. Dimples are a lot rarer than you'd think. Only about 25% of people in the world were lucky enough to be born with dimples. Only 24% of people were born with the ability to raise an eyebrow. Sad to think that only 24% of us can do the rock pose. 12% of people dream in only black and white. Think about your dreams. Do you dream in color? Follow for part 2.
Did you know the Nobel Peace Prize is named after Alfred Nobel for inventing dynamite? Hello, and here's some totally random facts. One of the ingredients needed to make dynamite is peanuts. The largest living organism in the world is a fungus and is 2,200 acres. The shortest war in history lasted for only 38 minutes. Glass balls can bounce higher than rubber ones. The average person spends 2 weeks of their life waiting at traffic lights, and you can cut a pie into 8 pieces with only 3 cuts.
I bet you didn't know that. Part 1. Your fingernails have the same ingredients as fly poo. Pope Francis has never used the internet. 4 out of 5 people sing in a car. The USPS is a year older than the United States.
What's one fact about human health that completely blows your mind?
Okay, this is super cool. When a pregnant woman suffers organ damage like a heart attack, the fetus actually sends stem cells to that organ to help repair it, showing that fetuses are symbiotes, not parasites.
Admit it, the title of this video sounds super boring. Just how interesting can a discussion about animal teeth be? Well, this interesting.
Just like humans, giraffes have 32 teeth. And just like trees, dolphins' teeth have rings that allow us to tell how old they are. Rodents, squirrels, and rabbits, whose teeth grow 2 to 3 inches each year, have teeth that never stop growing. If they don't chew on enough tough foods to wear their teeth down, they will pierce their skulls. All snakes have teeth, but only venomous snakes have fangs, which work like hollow hypodermic needles to inject venom into their prey. When a rattlesnake closes its mouth, its teeth fold up just like a pocket knife to protect the inside of its mouth. Horses' teeth take up more space in their heads than their brains. At 3 feet long, hippopotamuses have the longest canine teeth of any animal. A grizzly bear's teeth are surprisingly short, just a few inches long. But grizzlies don't need long, sharp teeth because they have the strongest bite in the animal kingdom. A narwhal's horn is actually a tooth and can grow longer than 8 feet. Even elephant tusks are just modified incisors. The longest elephant tusk ever recorded was 11 feet. Adult alligators can have up to 84 teeth. When one is lost, a new one simply takes its place, and alligators go through about 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. Crocodiles, which have between 60 and 110 teeth, go through about 4,000 teeth in their lifetime.
But that's nothing compared with sharks.
Sharks don't have roots, so their teeth fall out about once a week. Luckily, sharks' teeth are positioned in rows, like a conveyor belt, that simply move forward as they lose them. Most sharks have 5 to 15 rows of teeth, while the bull shark has up to 50. The average shark grows as many as 20 to 30,000 teeth over its lifetime. The mammal with the most teeth is the giant armadillo with 74. I bet that's not the one you thought.
But which animal has more teeth than any other on planet Earth? That would be the snail.
Snails have teeth that are arranged in rows along their tongues. While garden snails have about 14,000 teeth, other species can have as much as 20,000. And the teeth of the aquatic snail are the strongest known biological material on Earth, even stronger than titanium. Oh, and long-tailed macaques have been observed teaching their offspring how to floss their teeth with strands of hair. What's your excuse?
Stay curious, my friends.
Did you know unless food is mixed with saliva, you can't taste it? Hello, and here's some food facts you didn't know. Lemons contain more sugar than strawberries. Macadamia nuts are toxic to dogs. Honey is the only natural food that never goes bad. M&M's chocolate stands for the initials for its inventors, Mars and Murray. The fortune cookie was invented in San Francisco. In Eastern Africa, you can buy beer brewed from bananas. Apples are more effective at waking you up in the morning than coffee. Grapes explode when you put them in the microwave. And rice is the staple food for 50% of the world's population.
3 mind-blowing facts you didn't know about Venus. Number 1. Venus is the second brightest object in the night sky. Venus has clouds of sulfuric acid making it reflective and shiny, which makes it very bright, even during the day if you look in the right place at the right time. It can even cast shadows known as Venusian shadows. Number 2. NASA actually has plans for humans to explore Venus. This was a very preliminary study, but 50 kilometers above the surface, Venus has the same pressure and atmosphere density as Earth. This has led NASA to suggest that we may be able to deploy airships for humans to explore Venus, and some even suggest it could even be more efficient to go there as opposed to Mars, as it's closer to Earth. Number 3. You can actually see the surface of Venus. The clouds of sulfuric acid on Venus are incredibly thick, meaning they obscure the surface below. So if you were to look at Venus with your eyes, you wouldn't be able to see its surface.
Guess what? There's a woman who can smell Parkinson's. I know what you're thinking. Maybe she's just lucky and she happens to come across people with obvious symptoms and she's just good at guessing. It's been proven that she literally can smell something that's coming from Parkinson's patients. Here's the quick history. She had a husband who, around age 31, started having this like musky, woody sort of odor. She told him to take a shower, but, well, it didn't go away. So she just learned to deal with it. Several years went by, and she realized he was changing. His mood was changing. He was even getting increasingly violent. Something was going on with her husband, Les. So they went in for a brain scan thinking maybe he has a brain tumor. Turns out he had Parkinson's. She didn't associate it with the smell at first, but a few years went by and they went to a group for Parkinson's patients, support for them and their family members. The moment she walked in the room, the smell hit her. It was overwhelming. She smelled that same smell in every single person with Parkinson's that she came across. The wheels started turning inside her head. Could it be that I can smell Parkinson's? So she went to a neurobiologist, somebody who really understands this stuff, Dr. Kunath, and he knew about how there are dogs who can smell cancerous tumors. Is it possible that this woman is smelling something that's molecular coming from these people who have Parkinson's? So he devised a test. He gave her a bunch of shirts that he knew were from people who had Parkinson's. They had worn these shirts. And he also gave her a bunch of shirts that were the control group, people that do not have Parkinson's. And of course, it was a blind test. She didn't know which was which. She correctly identified every single shirt worn by somebody with Parkinson's, but there was one false positive, meaning one of those control shirts she identified as being from a Parkinson's individual. So they thought, oh, she's mostly accurate. Guess what? 8 months later, that person was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So she was 100% accurate. It turns out that the thing that she was smelling is something in sebum. Sebum is the substance that your sebaceous glands secrete onto hair shafts all over your body. It's this oily substance filled with a whole bunch of different molecules. Turns out they did a study on Parkinson's patients on their sebum and found that there were differences in those oily secretions on average compared to control groups that did not have Parkinson's. So there is something that is detectable. They devised a test to detect those sebum compounds before typical Parkinson's symptoms come into play for most people. Because, the earlier we can detect this, the better. Turns out that that test they devised is 70% accurate when analyzing sebum. So it still can't compete with Joy's ability. Unfortunately, her husband Les died about 7 years ago, but it's amazing that she has this ability. I do not know if she ended up having.
So once every couple of months, this exact video will go viral and the top comments will always be the same. It's someone saying that they spit their stomachs out their mouths to cool off and 1,000 people having a panic attack over it. And then I'll get tagged like 50 times, even though you'd swear I talked about this like 10 times. And I'm about to do it again. That is not its stomach. Any camel with its stomach out like that isn't a camel. It was. That's actually an organ called a doula. It's an extension of the soft palate that inflates when a male wants to attract a female. Kowalski's analysis is that camel wants to remind you that hump isn't just something on its back, it's a verb and it's a desire. And as camels go deeper into rut, they'll start foaming at the mouth to really emphasize what type of time they're on. Moral of this video, if a camel flexes his flesh balloon, he's not showing you his stomach, he's trying to get into yours.
Cat facts you didn't know, part 4. Unlike what you see on TV, most cats are actually lactose intolerant. They cannot properly digest cow's milk, and most milk products will give them, well, the runs. Does your cat get sick from milk? Comment below.
This sci-fi looking thing is Rafflesia, a parasitic flowering plant which produces the largest flowers in the world. Found only in Indonesia, it averages 3 feet in diameter and can weigh as much as 22 pounds.
In 2019, a Rafflesia that flowered in western Sumatra measured at just shy of 4 feet across.
The plant has no stems, leaves, or roots. It is a hollow parasite, an organism that cannot complete its life cycle without exploiting a suitable host. In this case, spreading a root-like structure inside the tissue of the Vitissia, a plant in the grapevine family. The only part of the Rafflesia that is visible outside of the host is the 5-petaled flower.
While this flower looks pretty, it smells like rotting flesh. The odor attracts carrion insects like flies, which transport the pollen. Stay curious, my friends.
These are animal facts I bet you didn't know, part 1.
Up first, crows are extremely smart. They can use tools, solve puzzles, recognize faces,
and even understand physics. So next time you see a crow,
just know they're probably smarter than you. Next up, dolphins actually get high. Dolphins deliberately handle pufferfish, causing them to release psychoactive toxins,
causing the dolphins to get high. This is absolutely crazy, and who knew that dolphins actually got high?
Finally, you can easily hypnotize a frog. To do so, all you have to do is place it on its back and then gently stroke its stomach.
So, if you guys want to have fun this summer, you can honestly just hypnotize frogs.
Interesting facts that you probably didn't know. Number 1. The longest TV ad in history was 14 hours long. The company that was hosting the ad was actually Old Spice, surprisingly enough. And although their ads are entertaining, I tried watching this for 3 minutes and I almost went insane. Number 2. Bananas grow blue under UV light. Bananas, also known by their less common term bananas, are famously yellow. But a university discovered that when they develop spots that cover the entire outside layer of the peel, if you shine a UV light on it or a black light, they actually glow an intense blue light. I never thought I would be so impressed by a banana. And finally, number 3. In March of 2019, archaeologists in central China discovered a pot in a 2,000-year-old tomb. It contained a liquid in the ancient manuscripts that describes it as the elixir of immortality. Archaeologists actually believe that the elixir wasn't very useful because, it was found in a tomb. What do you think of these facts? Comment below and follow for more. Thanks, guys.
Things the government doesn't want you to know, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway because we cool like that. Drinking a glass of water can wake you up faster than coffee. Your right ear is actually better for hearing people and your left ear is better for hearing music. There's a town in Nebraska that only has a population of 1. When someone actually tickles you, it's actually a panic response.
This is Random Fucking Fact Friday. There's enough DNA in the human body to stretch from the sun to Pluto and back 17 times. The average distance between the sun and Pluto is about 3.7 billion miles. DNA is obviously small as fuck, considering how it fits inside a cell. If you were to uncoil it, it's only on average about 5 centimeters. But there's about 37 trillion cells inside the human body, all containing DNA, so uncoiling them all and placing them side to side yields you this number. Which again is from the sun to Pluto and back 17 fucking times. Basically, there's a whole universe within us. Now that's a random fucking fact.
The first 7th and 9th US presidents were all born as British subjects, with at least one of them, George Washington, having even served as a British Army officer. The 8th president, Martin Van Buren, who assumed office in 1837, was a first US-born president. Also, 4 US presidents have been assassinated while in office. Most people only know of Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated in 1865, and John Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1963. But there was also James Garfield, who was assassinated in 1881, and William McKinley, who was assassinated in 1901. The US president with the longest presidency was Franklin Roosevelt, who served for 12 years, from 1933 to 1945. The president with the shortest presidency was William Harrison, who served for only 31 days in 1841 before dying of enteric fever.
I don't want to bug Nibbler because he's not a big fan of having his face touched, so I'll brave Trixie's beak to show you instead. Birds' ears are all pretty much in the same spot on their heads. They don't have any external ear flaps. Their ears are essentially just a hole in their head.
Here's the story of a cat that became mayor. The story started in 1997 when a store owner found him in a box of kittens left in a parking lot. Also turns out this cat was born 6 days after me. The owner noticed he didn't have a tail, so he decided to name him Stubbs. And Stubbs was a legend. He was born in a small Alaskan town called Talkeetna. And by small, I mean they have the population of a high school. In 97, during mayoral elections, when the townspeople were unhappy with the human candidates, they decided to put Stubbs on the ballot. Stubbs won in a landslide without making one speech. You could say this election story's made up, but then you'd be a f***ing hater, wouldn't you? Stubbs would serve the people for 20 years, and a general store he was found next to ended up becoming his office. Some may say Stubbs was only an honorary mayor for a town that never really had one. I disagree. In his time, Stubbs never raised taxes, he never interfered with business, and he never folded to corruption, which puts him in the Hall of Fame off rip. When the pressure of his position got to be too much, he would go to his favorite restaurant and order the usual: water from a wine glass laced with catnip to top one off. Oh, you know the whole 9 lives thing? Yeah, Stubbs had 90. Stubbs survived getting mauled by a dog, getting shot with BB guns, and at one point he even fell into a deep fryer. Because Stubbs was not a mere mortal, he was a furry force of feline defiance. In July 2017, he resigned from office and life at the age of 20. Mind you, the average pet cat probably tops out at 12 to 15. But he was no average cat. He was Stubbs, and he didn't die. He just realized he was too good for the world and moved accordingly.
Here's a movie fact you probably didn't know. In order to prepare for his role on The Godfather, Al Pacino would stick a finger up his butt just to know how it felt.
Here's some weird things you probably didn't know about. Part 1. Horses and cows sleep standing up, but they can only dream when laying down. What? Caribbean sperm whales actually have a different accent to those other whales in the ocean. Koala prints are so indistinguishable from humans that they can actually disrupt a crime scene. What? And at birth, a panda is actually the size of a mouse and can weigh up to like 4 ounces. Crazy. And lastly, snails actually can sleep up to 3 years if the conditions aren't moist enough to fit their needs. I thought my wife slept a lot.
You were today years old when you found this out. If you have an iPhone and you text someone pew pew, it will literally shoot them lasers. And this one is for anyone that loves animals. Turtles are not actually inside their shells, they are the shell. Have you ever wondered what donut shops do like Dunkin' at the end of the day with their leftover donuts? Well, all of them leftover donuts that don't get eaten throughout the day just get thrown away. And if you decide to even take one of these donuts home with you, you'll lose your job. And did you know that the most popular spot for a mouse to sleep and rest is inside a flower? They eat the pollen inside and then they go to bed. And talking about beds, the reason why they use the word bed is because it looks like a bed.
Cute facts you didn't know. Alpacas die of loneliness. When purchased, they should be bought in pairs. That is sad. Sharks have survived 4 of the big 5 mass extinctions. This makes them older than humanity, Mount Everest, dinosaurs, and trees. The oldest cat ever was named Cream Puff and lived to be 38 years old, or the equivalent of 168 cat years. Aww. Baby elephants suck their trunks just like human babies suck their thumbs. Aww. People that get goosebumps while listening to music have a special mental condition that makes them extremely emotional to certain kind of stimuli. Type love is and press the middle button until it makes a sentence.